The street smells like coal smoke and wet stone. Your cover passport sits warm against your ribs. Somewhere behind you, a tram bell rings too cheerful for this hour. You're early enough to look normal, late enough to be noticed. In Berlin, that's the same thing. This is your life, level by level, inside the CIA station in Berlin. Act 1. The dead drop is still warm. A routine dead drop turns into proof you're not alone. The site is talking, and it's saying you're late. You walk like you belong here. Hands loose, eyes bored. You don't scan, you absorb. The dead drop is a flower bed behind a crumbling courtyard wall, chosen because the old women who sweep the steps see everything and say nothing. You kneel like you're fixing a shoelace. Your fingers find the hollow brick. The container comes free with a soft suction sound, and your stomach tightens. There's moisture on the tape, grit pressed into the seam, soil scuffed in a crescent as if someone pivoted hard. Still warm, not in temperature, but in timing. You tell yourself it's condensation. You tell yourself it's a careless passerby. You tell yourself the dead drop is designed to be watched, and you're just feeling the weight of that design. Procedure takes over. Clean pickup. No stare. No linger. You make it a burn in your head without making it a burn on the street. You don't go to a live drop. You don't reach for a cutout. You simply walk. Back in motion, you realize the signal isn't what's inside. It's what's missing, and the empty space is louder than a gunshot. Act 2. You run an SDR through a divided city. You don't try to escape a tail. You test for one, using the city like a calculator. You fold into the crowd and start an SDR like it's a prayer you've said 1,000 times. Time, distance, turns that look like errands. A newspaper kiosk, a bakery window, a pause to light a cigarette you don't want. West Berlin throws reflections back at you: storefront glass, chrome on cars, American cigarettes in open display. Then the geometry hardens as you angle toward the seam. Barriers, sand strips, watchtowers that don't need to chase you because they can just wait. You tell yourself the route is routine. You tell yourself you're just killing time. You tell yourself your head turns are normal, the kind any bored man makes on a gray morning. Friedrichstraße is a magnet for watchers. Checkpoint Charlie is worse, a place where everyone expects something to happen, which means nothing can happen unnoticed. You switch trams. You cut through an underpass. You reverse direction twice, clean and casual. And a shadow keeps reappearing, not by gut, by math. Same hat brim, same pace, same patient distance. If they can follow your logic, the safe house is already in play. Act 3. Safe house math. Who do you trust with a door key? The safest room you have can also be the easiest to seal from the outside. The stairwell smells like boiled cabbage and floor polish. Ordinary neighbors, ordinary mail slots. You climb without rushing, counting landings, listening for the tiny betrayals, an extra footstep, a door that clicks shut too softly. At the safe house door, you don't go straight in. You touch the knob lightly. Too clean. You look at the threshold for grid moved the wrong way. You listen for echo inside, the dead air of a room that's been emptied, or worse, prepared. You tell yourself the legend is solid. You tell yourself the address has never been spoken on a phone. You tell yourself the safe houses are compartmented by code name for a reason, and nobody outside your lane can find you. Inside, you do the math. Contact notes, recognition signals, one-time pad pages, microfilm, anything that ties you to the asset goes into a burn bag or a tear strip pile. Hands working fast but quiet. Paranoia turns administrative. Not a dramatic traitor, just a clerk leaned on, a locksmith paid, a colleague who got sloppy after 3 beers. Then a message arrives the way it shouldn't. Wrong phrasing, wrong timing, and you feel the trap being built with your own tools. You've treated the drop as burned, the street as hostile, the safe house as a question mark. Next, the city funnels you toward a border hall designed to make people confess with their posture. Act 4. The border crossing trap. Friedrichstraße, Palace of Tears. You step into a crossing point built to turn hesitation into evidence. Every sign, desk, and light is part of the interrogation. Fluorescent light flattens everything: skin, paper, intent. The corridor at Friedrichstraße narrows into lanes with waist-high rails, like you're being fed into a machine that eats explanations. Boots squeak on tile. A Volkspolizei clerk stamps a passport with the patience of a man sharpening a knife. You keep your face neutral in your hand's visible passport, customs form, a wallet with the right bills in the right fold. The air smells of damp wool and cigarette ash trapped in codes. You tell yourself you're only here to prove a point. You tell yourself this is just another control, another check, another practiced lie. You tell yourself the asset will be where the schedule says, because schedules are safer than improvisation. Then the trap shows its shape. A second inspection. A question asked twice, worded slightly different. A glance held half a second too long while a phone rings somewhere behind a frosted door. You feel time slowing, not in your head, but in their process. If you turn back, you're suspicious. If you go forward, you're catalogued. And you realize the border isn't a line, it's a room where fear learns your name. Act 5: Extraction versus Deniability. You have minutes to choose between saving your asset and protecting the station. Either way, someone becomes expendable. Outside, West Berlin looks loud and careless on purpose: neon, traffic, the thin cheer of cafe radios. Your safe route is gone. So you work from a pocket-sized plan. A payphone near the Bahnhof Zoo, a chalk mark on a utility box, a license plate you're not supposed to memorize. A case officer's job turns into triage. You write options on the inside of your skull. Emergency exfil through Tempelhof with a doctored manifest. A brush pass with a cutout at the Europa Center fountain. Or nothing. Silence long enough that the asset learns to stop reaching. You tell yourself deniability keeps people alive. You tell yourself an extraction that fails kills more than one person. You tell yourself the station can't afford a public mess, not with the wall fresh and everyone counting embarrassments like ammunition. The cable traffic in your head is ruthless. If the asset is rolled, any move is a flare. If you do nothing, the asset might still believe you abandoned them, and desperation makes confessions easy. You can save a life or you can save a program. And the worst part is how reasonable both choices feel in your mouth. Act 6: The burn and the carry home. You erase the trail and keep the weight. The work ends on paper, but it doesn't end inside you. The burn bag crinkles like dry leaves. You feed it strip by strip. Contact reports, a map with a penciled circle, a hotel receipt you kept because it proved you were somewhere else. The safe house stove draws poorly, so you use a metal pail and a splash of lighter fluid, watching corners curl black, then fold into ash. You wipe fingerprints where you shouldn't have left any door chain, window latch, the glass of a framed photograph that came with the rental. You reset the room to its original lie. Bed made tight, sink dry, towels hung like nobody ever needed them. You pocket the one-time pad pages you didn't use, because unused pages can still convict. You tell yourself the burn is clean. You tell yourself the asset going dark is just a phase, a paused signal, not an ending. You tell yourself tomorrow's meeting at the station will be clinical dates, times, recommendations because clinical is how you survive. On the walk back, you notice your hands smell faintly of smoke no soap quite removes. You carry your cover passport against your ribs like a small, steady fever. In this work, you don't bury the dead, you file them, and the file keeps breathing. Berlin teaches you the same lesson in every language. Power is paperwork, fear is routine, and loyalty is a quiet habit you practice alone. You can burn notes, swap identities, erase routes with good tradecraft and better timing. But the city still leaves a residue: coal smoke, stamped ink, a name you never say again, clinging where your heart insists on being human.